busy day myself, I have 3 podcasts to record,
Uh-huh.
which is crazy, but it'll set me up to have some things in advance. So if something
Mhm.
happens, I could have podcasts set up so that I can just be ready whenever I need to.
Smart. Better to be prepared, right, for that
Yeah.
opportunity instead of having to be reactive.
Mhm. And I'm also taking, um, a break, um, from podcasting this or not podcasting, but posting this week, which makes me so nervous because the fear is always like, if you're not doing it, then you're not in someone's face and they're not gonna notice you anymore, but I'm taking a break from doing that, just for the week. I'm gonna post about another podcast that I do, which is like an indie ink podcast. I'm gonna do a little preview of that, and then I have a bonus episode that I'm gonna drop. Just taking a
Nice.
break from all of the things, catch up. I got a lot of stuff coming up for me, so
Anything like everything's okay otherwise? Like life is okay?
life is always lifing. That's the best thing about life. Life is just always lifing. It's always doing like its thing. But I'm just kind of going with the punches, enjoying the little things. I had a vendor event for my indie author bookstore, and that went really well. So I'm very excited about that.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. You got any good news, any good things going on for you?
Good things. Just achieving milestones.
Mhm.
There's on the logistics sales side, we recorded 80 episodes already this year. And
Wow.
so we kind of have all our episodes lined up for almost the end of 2027.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that was really exciting. And I'm on a rampage this year to get onto 100 different podcasts. So I've
Mhm.
gotten into about 40, a little bit over 45 already.
Wow.
Yeah, so everything's kind of moving quick pace. It's a year of the fire horse, and so
Mhm.
they say it speeds things up, and makes things go more rapid. And yeah, just having like major completions on major projects. So when it comes to like a software that I'm developing,
Mhm.
it's already at 80% completion. We're almost at the final 20%. And so that's gonna be exciting to start launching. Yeah, so just a lot of things that are happening, business wise as well as personal in life as well.
It's good. I mean, 100 podcast. That's a that's a that's a goal. That's a really
It's
good
good.
goal, though.
Yeah, it's just one of those things like let's try to do it. Usually I'm on one or two a year at the most.
Mhm.
And that's usually being called in for interviews, whether like that's the news or whether that's something related to trucking and logistics. So it's
Mhm.
been very specific. But again, it's just something I'm like, all right, if we're already in this momentum, let's just try to keep going and see what happens.
I think a lot of people don't realize, like, how much momentum actually, like, plays into the fact of it, like or in, like, consistency. You have to have consistency, and when you like you said, when you have the momentum, you have to kinda just, like, go for it. Losing that momentum losing the momentum doesn't mean that you can't get it back, uh, but it definitely stops you. Like, when you're on a track, when people are, like, paying attention to you, everything is moving in the right direction, you kinda have to, like, follow that energy.
Yeah, it's pushing ourselves too for growth. And I
Mhm.
noticed, every single podcast I go on, I have to do the research. I have to try growing myself. I have to try stretching myself. So you're forced to kind of push in that direction, which is again
Mhm.
feels good too because you're learning and you're trying things that are maybe different or you're not used to. And yeah, so I mean, it just shows like what's possible really when we start going into that direction, like exactly what you're doing. It's like
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to push. I'm going to do 3 episodes back to back
Mhm.
and same with me, I got 3 episodes or 3 podcasts today, back to back. I only thought I had 2, but then I totally forgot that we had this one booked as well. I'm like, "Oh," and I saw
Like, "Oh
saw
my
it.
gosh."
I had a feeling it was, on the 27th, and,
Mhm.
so I was like, "Okay, let's try to make sure we squeeze it in." I'm like, "Okay, next time we gonna have to have half-hour breaks in between," but today it's
Yeah.
gonna be back to backs. 2 o'clock.
Also back to back. I also have like because I do I do everything for the podcast and for my businesses. So I have podcasts and then I have a meeting because I've been blessed. I've had teams reach out to me now. Like their management team reach out to me and ask to be on my podcast. And so I'm like, that's the momentum part, that's the part that we're talking about. Like when it's happening, you kind of just have to be like, oh shit, it's happening and follow through with it. And so I have a meeting with someone to schedule them to be on or to kind of how we did sit down and talk about everything and see if they'd be a good fit. And then I have another podcast and then I have to record the bonus episode and then I have to edit. So yeah, I'm trying to do like if like Monday and Saturdays are my heavy days,
Mhm.
then Thursday can just be like a record one episode because I have like my recapped episodes that I do, record one episode and then just go home. So it could be like an hour out of my day where I'm doing that and I get to enjoy more of my day. So like I'm working on it.
I see this with the younger generation so much that so many people avoid even having appointments. They just are scared to have commitments or
Yeah.
just to follow through with something. It's just, it becomes so big in people's mind, and to actually have people that are able to break it down and say, "You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna commit, this much time to it." And then, yeah, momentum builds, and momentum brings opportunities, and that's awesome.
My brother is one of those people who doesn't like commitments at all. And it's hilarious to me. Like when we're from St. Thomas and like that's my mom's family was born and raised. And we would be like, okay, so we're gonna go do this thing at 3 o'clock. And I'm my mom's child. My mom's a Virgo, like she needs appointments in her life to like function. And it's so weird because my brother's a Capricorn, but he's also a millennial. And he's like, I don't wanna be constrained by those requirements.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't wanna put a time on it, we'll just get to it whenever we get to it." And I'm like, No, actually, let's put a time on it because this needs to get done."
Mhm. So
So
what
it
do you
is interesting.
so what do you think that is? Why do you think people cannot commit? Like, even if it's for something the next day, like my son, he's 17 years old. And I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna go play soccer." And I'm like, "Do you wanna come play with," he likes playing with my friends sometimes. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you wanna come play with us?" And he's like, I'll think about it. I'll let
Yeah.
you know." I'm like, "No, we need to know because there's a certain amount of players that have to be there." And then
Like,
I
you
go,
gotta
"They're
tell
tell
me.
yeah, they need to know. Can you not commit?" And he just won't commit. And so, what is this fear of commitment?
Think I don't know, like, if I had to look at it and try to think about it, it's just w older generations, things were so structured. And I think that they had to be at that time, right? With everything was going on, there wasn't as much freedom. For instance, like phone calls were phone calls that happened at home. We didn't have the freedom to take phone calls on the go unless you were like super cool and you had the car phone, right? Um, internet was something that you had to do at your house for the most part. And now all of our phones can do it for us. So I would say like looking at it in that sense, I think that's a part of it, the ability to kind of move on the go and you don't really have to make a commitment to things in that sense because now everything kind of exists everywhere. And I also think that the younger generations, starting with millennials, but definitely with Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, they're a lot more sensitive in a beautiful, amazing way. But they're also aware of like they want to have the freedom to say no, but they're also aware of like they make this commitment, someone will be upset if they don't hold up to the commitment. So then I think that that might give them some like anxiety and they're like, I would just rather not commit. And if I can show up, I can show up and then I'm not disappointing someone. But I'm also, we're in the era now where we say no to things. And even for instance, for me being able to say, like, hey, I'm really sick. Can we reschedule the podcast? That was really hard for me, because I like to honor my commitments. When I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And I think that they just want the out without having to feel guilty about it.
For sure. Saying no is no issue. I mean, that's
Yeah.
more admirable than saying, "Hey, maybe," leading people on. It's like clear-cut answers are
Yeah.
good, right? So again, that's something that I think people would appreciate. But I think when it comes to just saying, okay, commitments, like commitments about, important things that are gonna move you forward in life even, is
Yeah.
saying, okay, well, what is important to you? For that's a question for the younger generation, is to just say, hey, what type of commitments can you make?
Mhm.
Do you want to make? I think those are the questions that need to be asked there, and saying, okay, hey, there's room for sensitivity, but then there's also room for action. And then what do you want in life, and will it equate if you're not really committing to making anything happen? Because if you don't commit with a friend, for example, right? So if you got some sort of event coming up and you don't commit, well,
Mhm.
how are you going to commit to growing your future? And
Yeah.
it's going to show up in other parts of your life as well, right? Not commitments.
No, I completely agree with you.
So, at what point does it hold you back in life versus moving you
Mhm.
forward?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
It it's so weird because we don't know how the world is gonna look for them. Like, the world has changed so much in just a decade, right? So we don't have any idea what the world is gonna look for them, and maybe that's a part of it, is they're so and, like, we are who we are, but there's, you know, the social sciences, right? You have psychology, you have sociology, you have, philosophy. The sociology, talks about how the world around us and us, like, affects us and how we have kind of that group think. So I wonder if the constant changes that we have in life now and the constant growth and the apps updating every, 2 weeks and updates on phones and getting new things are dropping out and new video games. I wonder if that they're not, like, registering, but that, like, it plays a part in their mind and their decision making. And I do agree with you. I think that making appointments is so important because I can't just go podcast and be like, "Well, maybe we'll show up." Like, that's not how that works. And when you get into the real world, um, you have to keep appointments. You have meetings at a certain time, and you have to show up at that certain time. And I think that that's just something, and I don't know where it got missed, but it's something that is definitely missed in the newer generation. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
So, how much do you think watching Neo in the Matrix kind of relates to this type of situation where, again, if people are watching social media or people are being trapped by their environments, and this is
Mhm,
what the whole Matrix was trying to show people, was like, hey, there's a whole world out here that is controlling you.
mhm,
And then the other question is, okay, well, which pill do you want to take? Because do you want to start being in control of your life, or do you want the life that's going to be, part of the program of what you're stuck in?
mhm,
And so being stuck is just, again, watching life go by versus making it happen.
mhm.
That's something where I hope, the younger generation is able to figure this part out, right? The doom scrolling versus saying, okay, hey, I used to always tell people, instead of watching social media, why don't you try making the social media, right? Like that's where you want to get into.
I'm so big on that. I did doom scroll a lot yesterday, but it was, like, my first real off day in so long, so it was kinda like a treat to myself. But I record all of my videos on edits so that when I'm recording, I'm not actively engaging. I'm not actively on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I'm making my content. And when I check social media, I check it for podcast stuff, if I'm bathroom time for sure. But most of the time, I'm just checking up on my stats. Or when I'm going to finally upload the video, then I might spend like 5 minutes looking at it. But you're right. Like, if you say that you wanna get this, more time has to go into the creation than in the, like, consumption.
Yeah, I've noticed, recently we're doing some stuff on social media as well. And then if I'm
Mhm.
going and even looking at stats, I get addicted to, to watching other
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, hold on, wasn't I going in here to check my stuff? And then when I look at it, I'm like, I'm looking at, all the scrolls now and all the all the different, media feeds, and so
Yep.
it's so addictive when you do get on there that you really have to be mindful. And, I just hear even experts talking about it as well, and people that can identify addictive behaviors are like, "Yeah, social media is just so addictive now that you start watching one thing, it just"
And it just
it's like the next, the next, the next.
what they call it, the time suck. You just get into the, like, time suck of it, and then you're like, what is happening?" But yeah, I definitely wanna explore this more, but let's get into our introduction.
Sounds good.
Sorry, it was so loud in my ear trying to just preview it, but let's get into our introductions and launch our little cute graphic, and then we'll introduce you and get right back on topic. Let's go.
Sounds good.
I'm dead. Quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it costs everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. All right. Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of basically Unbothered in the morning, in the early afternoon. I am joined by Damon today. Damon, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, my name's Damon. I'm an entrepreneur, and also we provide free education online, and that's me.
He was like short, sweet, and straight to the point. It kind of goes back to our topic of just kind of like, you don't need a flowery introduction. This is me. This is what I do.
I'm,
What
I'm
kind
trying not to.
of
I'm trying not to scare the audience here. That's the other part of me is like, hold on, we have an Indian guy on today, man. I don't know what he's gonna say. I don't know what numbers he's gonna pull out, and he's he's here, so it'll be an interesting episode.
Oh my God, I wanna clip that so bad. That was just so perfect. We have an Indian guy on here today. We don't know what he's gonna say. I don't think that you would scare anyone. But dude, tell me a little bit more about, like, because you come from logistics sales and everything like that. Tell me a little bit more about what that is, what you guys do, how you guys help out people.
Yeah, so we believe that financial freedom is available for everybody, regardless of where you live around the world, what your
Mhm,
background is, what your financial level is, what your education level may be. But we believe that regardless of any circumstance, that financial freedom is available for anyone, and we want to show everyone that it's a choice. And so
mhm,
we created a free educational platform for that. Again, we use a lot of our experience based on working with different industries. So I'm in supply chain as well as logistics and transportation. And so
mhm,
basically in our industry, what we say is if you bought it, a truck brought it. And so we
mhm,
work with so many different type of commodities and supply chains around the world that, or in North America more specifically, but we try to teach people about how to do business and entrepreneurship opportunities. And again, working with so many different diverse, or just putting different perspectives on the way that you do business and do communication to say that
mhm,
these opportunities are existing all around us, just take advantage of a little bit of it, right? So, for me, it's just saying, okay, I always wish I had a mentor growing up, and if I didn't
mhm.
have someone teaching me these things, I want to be able to teach it to everybody else, and I believe that should be for free to build the basic foundation for anyone, so that anyone can have that opportunity and just be exposed to it, open up their mind, essentially.
Do you think that creating your own businesses, creating your own brands, things like that is kind of like the paved way to financial freedom?
It's realizing that we all have a skill
Mhm,
that's specific to us, specific to yourself, specific to
mhm,
anybody that may be watching, that can be leveraged to be able to earn more.
mhm,
And so this is a example of this is like being in the workplace and you don't feel like you're valued. And there's something that rings inside of you that says, "Hey, I should, I could probably be doing better in my life." And
mhm,
so that's the voice that we're looking to talk to within people and say, "Let's wake that up." There's something that's happening inside of you that we want to wake up and let you
mhm.
know that there's more to you than what you may think right now. And, on the far spectrum of this is also the opportunity of where, again, what financial freedom creates for people as well in
Mhm.
life, right? And so, when you can earn 20 years of salary within 1 year of working,
Yeah.
uh, and if you know that's possible, and then why aren't we gonna go for that? How long do you wanna be, for example, like in America, 61 to 64% of people live paycheck to paycheck in one of the greatest economies in the world. Like, you
Mhm.
live in one of the greatest economies of the world, right? And so you say, "Well, okay, well, how come this is even happening in our country?"
Mhm.
Right? Like, well, why is this even happening? Like, this shouldn't even be a stat that should be
Mhm.
happening here, right? Maybe in other parts of the world, but not here, right? Not in North America, because it's a land of opportunities, the land of dreaming, right? Again, we should all be exposed to these opportunities, not just stuck in the cycle. The cycle is just going to work, and this is, again, like the matrix. The matrix is when we're sitting in the classrooms, and then we're trying to work our butts off just so the teacher can tell us what marks we get.
Mhm.
And the matrix is when we're sitting at work and we're strictly reliant on our boss or our manager to give us that
Mhm.
raise. So that's the matrix, is knowing, okay, we're stuck within a bunch of parameters and a bunch of controls. And for us, it's saying, okay, well, hold on, let's rewind this and say, okay, who put us into these situations in the first place, right? Do we typically need to give that value and that power of control to our teachers,
Mhm.
or to the people? Again, it could be parents, right? Could be anybody in our life that's trying to tell us what to do.
I think that there are definitely people who do well in the structure of the system and who can climb that ladder. But that's why we have like Montessori schools now, which are ideally meant to teach children a different way of doing and thinking, because I think that our school system has been the same school system for the most part since the beginning. Obviously, we've made tweaks and changes, but we haven't adapted to what the world could look like now. And our is the structure that we have in school the structure that's going to be the most beneficial to students in the world as it exists now. And I think that that obviously needs to be something, but I do think a part of it comes with parenting, right? Like the school can't do everything for you. You have to, there was a big push when I was a kid about getting a degree. You got to get the degree. You got to get the degree. The degree is going to get you this really great job. And that's not the fact anymore. The degree, it matters, obviously, but you know, it's insane when you look at the job market right now, and to be like a basic entry level position where you could have an associate's normally and you'd be fine and you could work your way up in the company. Now you need a bachelor's or a master's. And there's this push for you to be perfect and have all the education and the jobs not do the on-job training, which is needed. And there's the truth that not all of us are meant to work in that structure. And not all of us are meant to exist in that structure, and trying to put ourselves in that structure ends up preventing us from getting to where we really need to be in life or where we really should be in life. I've been experiencing that myself. I worked in the structure. I did the 9 to 5. And I was pretty successful in it in a sense, right? I made my way up, but I also noticed that I don't wanna say that it wasn't enough, but there were always parameters and things that prevented me from really truly reaching to where I wanted to go. I worked at a credit union, and I worked in the HR and training department. I did all of the onboarding. I helped go through and help create training programs for the year because we need to have all those for, certification purposes. And then I went even further and I really love employee engagement. It's one of my passions is creating a space, like just in general, creating a space where people feel warm and welcome. I think I do that with my podcast as well. But I noticed that we had a terrible internet and nobody knew how to work the internet, and we were spending so much money on it. And then I said, we have all of these Windows products. We have the whole like Windows suite. Why aren't we using SharePoint? and creating an intranet there. So I developed an entire intranet. I gave the credit union something that they were looking for a long time, which was a help desk ticketing system so that they can track when these solutions are getting done to help, do all this. And then I created a back end where it was just employee engagement, creating games and raffles and fun things, and also connected it so different departments could interact with their departments on share. Like I created an entire system.
Yeah.
And I remember after doing that, my mom was like, I'm so proud of you. There's no way that they're not going to give you a raise or give you a promotion. And like employee engagement is really big right now. And I could see you really moving into that field. And I went into my meeting and I was getting marked down on like the craziest things. And there was no real mention of the success of the internet that I developed and built myself. And there was no talks about me potentially moving up. And, that's when I really realized that, maybe the system isn't what's best for me. Maybe I need a system where what I do directly affects where I go.
Can I talk about that a little bit, Blake, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Don't mind.
Yeah. So when I'm listening to this, right? So the things that I'm picking up right away is that okay, one is in HR you built really good relationship skills, right?
Mhm.
Feedback coming back directly from employees. You're hearing the complaints. You're listening to everybody, and then you're
Mhm.
able to start adapting from that. You're picking up on technology, right?
Mhm.
Introduction on technology and how to make it work within an organization. So you understand
Mhm.
systems and controls, and you also understand a certain level of management and leadership
Mhm.
because you're taking the onus of saying, okay, hey, I'm willing to put myself on the line here to try something new, to move this whole
Mhm.
organization forward. And what I'm also listening to also is I always believe that universe talks to us in many ways.
Me too.
So you had two voices coming at you, one from your mom
Mhm.
and one from management,
Mhm.
and they weren't matching, were they?
Mm-mm.
So which one did you choose to believe?
I kinda chose to believe myself. I'm also big proponent of, like, the universe and kind of things happening for a reason. We were talking about following the ball as it rolls, right? I followed my career in the credit union because that was what was working for me at that time, and I was like, "Okay." I'll put everything to a back seat, and then I wrote a book. And I think that kind of there's a couple things that happened all at once. I wrote a book and that changed my perspective and everything. And life happened and I decided to kind of trust myself and I walked away. There's this fantastic book. A lot of people, Mel Robbins, she's on tour of it right now with the Let Them Theory. And that's one of the conversations that she talks about is that when you're in a job and you get so frustrated because they're not noticing you, let them not notice you and try to find yourself a position where someone will. And I kind of started that journey by being like, well, the first person that I know will notice my skills are me. And then I have so many skills that I could use them for my books and I can use them for my brand and I can use them for my businesses. I built an entire internet. I built my own websites for my business. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I have
you got
these
you got
skills.
skills. You got
Yeah.
skills. You got
So I'm going to
yeah,
use them. I'm just going to use them now to push me forward. If someone else isn't going to push me forward, I'm going to push me forward.
yeah. And you're the decision maker, and that's something that again I want even the audience to kind of come in here and listen to this, right? And say, okay, hey, are we always listening to two different voices that are maybe even happening inside of us?
Mhm.
And saying, okay, well, who's gonna, which voice are we truly gonna listen to? And I believe like that one that was coming from your mom saying, hey, you
Mhm.
did all these amazing things. That's the voice of I believe God, right? Like that's God speaking through your mom to you. And
Mhm.
it's about us saying, okay, hey, yeah, you know what? That's right. I did do this.
Yeah.
You're the one that's going to give that confirmation, but you have to believe it first, right? So anybody watching, it's like you got to believe which voice you really want to believe. And if we take the one from the management side, this is again sometimes the negative voices that we have in our minds, right? When
Mhm.
we listen to that one, like, what's that doing? It's holding us back. It's pulling us
Mhm.
down, right? So is that really what we want to have happen in our lives? Is or do we want to be brought down? Or are we going to make that
Mhm.
conscious choice to be like, hey, you know what? The universe does love us and
Mhm.
it's giving us the support and we need to amplify that, right?
Mhm.
And we need to take that voice and say, yeah, you know what? Channel it into those books. Channel it into creating websites, creating whatever we can in our lives because that's the fuel.
Mhm.
It's a formula, right? It's a formula we could all use in life too and say, "Hey, yeah, what's the truth here, right? What do I want my truth to be? What's my book gonna tell me about myself and tell,
Mhm.
me about how I can leverage, these skill sets, which I did build and I put
Right.
the work into it." And that's what I
Mhm.
mean. I mean, why let somebody judge that? You know what you did. So
That's
many
what
people are
matters.
yeah, so many people that are watching, right? Like you know what you're doing, right? God
Mhm.
knows what you're doing.
Mhm.
So you take what you are doing and you again leverage it, right? Leverage it. Like how many people would love to have somebody come in and change their company culture? How many places of work do we know that we've heard about that has toxic work cultures,
Mhm.
right?
So many.
And yeah. And then again, how many stats will prove that if you have a positive work culture, you get better performance out of your employees, and that's going to equate to a lot of dollar value, right? So that's possibly a consultant type of job. Yeah.
Yeah, there's and I you know what? I eventually I'm gonna go back to it. You know, I have lots of plans for lots of things, but we're gonna take a break right quick into this and we're gonna get into some other topics really quick before we get back into our big topic. So we're gonna do our pop culture roundup. Have a little jingle. You gotta have a jingle. I was talking to another guest about this and how we need to bring jingles back. Um and there's actually it's like I was just looking, it's like Sonos or something, but there's this AI app which helps make jingles out of like your text messages or whatever. And I was like, yeah, jingles are coming back, guys. Don't let AI steal this from you. Let's start making jingles again. But our first topic is that women have decided, and right in, kind of what we're talking about already, women have decided that they're going to start hosting admin nights with their friends to get the work done.
I
And when I
love
saw
it.
this, I was like, I do too. I think this is so like friend girl power, like positive things we're talking about pushing, breaking outside of this cycle. And outside of that 9 to 5 things, and, you may think that these admin nights might be things where they're just doing their work, but these admin nights might be things where they're doing things for themselves, they're following their dreams for themselves. A lot of people and right now have second jobs or side hustles or, whatever going on, and I coming together and creating, let me get me and my friends together a glass of wine or 2 or 3 and just get all the stuff I need to get done, That sounds fun. It
It
doesn't
is.
have to be work.
Yeah. Like I look at it as a mastermind group. Imagine like a bunch of women
Mhm,
coming together. And women are powerful. Like that's the thing is when you're hanging out with other people that have the same mindset, like it's
mhm.
gonna rub off on each other and yeah, like amazing things are probably gonna come out of it. Because again, if everyone's gonna be like, hey, what are you working on? What are you working on? What's your task for today? What are you, and
Yeah,
and
like,
that gets
what you got going
inspirational.
on?
Yeah, so that gets inspirational for people and they get motivated and the energy just doesn't stay in that room. It actually
Mhm.
transfers to other parts of their lives too. And I guarantee it for their spouses, right? Like they probably come back home a lot happier than they left.
Then when they left, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit more tipsy too, like but no, it's an encouragement. I don't know if you've seen this kind of comment that's happens on social media a lot where the people who support you most on social media are people who don't know you. They're quite often not like your friends. And I think that that's layered, right? I think that it's hard for people in general to see people that are in the same level aspect of them and they're doing something and the other person's like, "Damn, I I really want to get to that. I really want to do it, but I just don't, have the time or the whatever. And creating a place where we can like, no, no, we're all going to support each other. We're all going to help each other. We're all going to grow. I tell people all the time, when I make it, I'm bringing as many people as I can with me, but I also recognize that not everybody can get there at the same time because not everybody has that same mentality. But those nights were almost teaching people, through fun, through, you know, camaraderie that we can all together, like it doesn't have to be one person versus another person. All of us can reach that goal together. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed about the concept.
100%. Have you heard that concept about the one ox versus the two ox that are trying to pull together?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna butcher the numbers here because I did not look this up before. Okay, so excuse me for this, but they say one ox on its own can move 3,000 pounds by itself, right? But then
Mhm.
and then again, if you have two, you would think that okay, two of them can pull 6,000 together, but they pull something like
Mhm.
crazy, like 9 or 10,000. So when you have two people moving in the same direction, just them having each other's energy next to each other can now start
Mhm.
being able to accomplish more and do more. And this happens in business, this happens in so many different aspects of it. You are tied to the people around you as much as you may
Mhm.
not think you are. But just like imagine this, like imagine you're with somebody and they're really down on their energy,
Yeah.
right? Do you still happen to keep your energy, or do you sacrifice and say, okay, I'm gonna start moving my energy down too then to help
Yeah,
match yours?
you always try to match the energy around you, unfortunately. And I'm an empath, so I
Mhm.
match heavy. But you're right. When you do something together, you don't just double, you can sometimes triple, you know, your production. But when you hang around people who don't want to do it or just kind of sitting and down on their luck, it actually brings you down because energy always wants to match energy. Like that's why when you're in a sad room, you sometimes get sad yourself. It's because your energy is like, oh, this is a solemn, somber pace. I need to adjust to meet, this. And when you change that energy, but that's also why like who you surround yourself with is so important.
100% it is. And I think the people that are also supporting you are the people that can understand you. That's the
Mhm.
thing, you kind of alluded to that earlier, but then, the people that are supporting you are the people I believe that have been in your shoes, are the people that can
Mhm.
relate better. And especially like
Mhm.
we talked earlier and you were saying, hey, I spend my Mondays and Saturdays investing my time into, creating this podcast or making things move forward in my life. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, "Hey, man, you should be enjoying life, Blake. Go out and go, join the next party or do this, do that, whatever." Right? So they're all trying to distract because they're distracted, right? But a
Mhm.
person that believes in entrepreneurship or says, "Hey, you know what? These are some of the steps." Again, you can enjoy them as well. You can enjoy them with people that enjoy doing this sort of stuff, and the podcast will take off, right? Like there'll be different
Yeah.
energy levels to it. But then if you're dealing with people that are just like, hey, you know what? I'm just Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, good luck, right? Good luck trying to get them motivated because that's just where they're gonna stay until the pain is strong enough there for them to start moving or start acting. And
Mhm.
then there's people that are like proactive, like yourself, right? Saying, hey, you know what? I've seen this formula before, and if I repeat this formula, I'm gonna create this amazing lifestyle for myself. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be able to do it in a fun way where I get to talk about the things I love. I'm doing something that I enjoy and I'm having fun doing it. And I get to meet great people. And yeah, this is
Mhm.
a social setting too. It's not just, me being isolated in a room, but it's social.
Yeah. I'm interacting with people, and you're right. It's something that I love to do. It's something that's fun for me, and I think that you know, people think that that concept of, "Oh, I'm working really hard on Monday and Sundays and or Saturdays," and they're like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, first of all, I get to pick my hours." Like people are like, but you're working so hard. Y Oh, you left the office at like 10, 11." Yeah, but I stayed at the house till like 2. I'm still enjoying my life the way that I want to. I get to have a slow morning, wake up, play with my dogs, read like, those are the things that are important to me, and I've just learned how to shape it. I've never understood the concept of I don't understand why we waste our daylight. I just don't get it. Daylight is the time where I wanna, like, absorb the sun and enjoy it and enjoy the morning and we quite often spend most of daylight time indoors in offices working, and that works for some people, but for me, I like daylight. When the sun is out, I wanna be out. I don't wanna be in the office all the time, so I'm working hard so that I can create the spaces where when the sun is out, I can do what I wanna do, and then when I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's 2, 3 o'clock. I'm gonna go to work." I've enjoyed my whole day, and then I'm gonna work my butt off so that I can have the things that I really want, but it's also like the mindset we were talking about, like commitments and understanding that that builds onto something. What I'm doing right now will eventually build and I won't have to work as hard, right? When
Yeah,
the
it's a
podcast becomes bigger.
long-term mindset. It's a
Yeah,
long-term mindset, yeah.
when a
Mhm.
podcast becomes bigger, then I can have someone edit for me. I can have someone do my social media for me, and then I've gained more time back in my day.
I'm gonna challenge you on that too, because I'm I love the entrepreneur space, so I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
throwing these little tidbits in there, but I'm gonna encourage you to do that today, right? And say, you know what?
Mhm,
Yeah, and you don't have to pay somebody for one, right?
mhm,
But find out who else has the same goal to launch a podcast, and there's a lot of people out there as well. A lot of people
mhm,
that want to do what you're doing, right? Today, that are
mhm,
gonna say, "Hey, I'll jump on this bandwagon. I'll edit those videos. Can I get a piece of this?"
and
And
I
say, "Yeah."
I love that. I wish we went back to that mentality. I was just telling someone about this, about how remember when you didn't have to pay an agent upfront, like an agent took a percentage out, and now for like when you're bigger, that still happens, but now for like entrepreneurs and small businesses, they want this guarantee and they don't wanna build with you anymore. And it's like, that's so lacking. We lack the concept of like community work helps to build something bigger.
So you know why that is? Is because a lot of people
Mhm.
don't make the commitments, and we talked about this earlier. But
Mhm.
you're already doing it, right? So you're showing the practical, like, "Hey, I'm willing to do this. I'm going all out." Right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
doing this whether you're with me or you're not, right? So different power, right? Like, you're in control of this, and you could draw people towards it. There was a singer called AP Dillon. He had a documentary that came out on Prime Video,
Okay.
and AP Dillon, he was a musician, and
Mhm.
he would take all this free time, and people would be like, "Hey, man, come party with us, this and that." He's like, "No," right? He would take every paycheck that he was doing. He was doing schooling in British Columbia, and
Mhm.
he spent all his money on buying equipment, and he just spent his time, producing music because that's what he
Mhm.
enjoyed. But then because he was doing that, so many people started getting attracted to what he was doing. People
Mhm.
flew in from halfway around the country to come join him. And
Mhm.
people, again, everyone just gravitated. If you watch the documentary, you'll see that one person, because he was disciplined and he had that vision, that people just
Mhm.
joined. People just wanted to be a part of it. And so again, he got someone that started, remixing the songs. He started getting another singer to come join him, and people just kept joining him into whatever he was doing. But that's the thing. Like, when you're solid in what you're doing, you're going to attract
Mhm.
people into that venture, and that's up to you to see how. Again, do I want people to be a part of this? And so I talk to people a lot about, the entrepreneur, owning 100% of the grape or owning 10% of a watermelon. Which one would you
Mhm.
want? You know?
10% of a watermelon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
we could see, okay, well, hey, you know what? Maybe we can create structures to allow people to join us in our vision to make it funner as well, right? Like, again, admin night. Let's make admin
Yeah.
night happen. Hey, yeah, you want to edit my videos? You enjoy that? There's people that enjoy it, love it. They're so creative. And so it's
Yeah.
allowing people to really accelerate in what they do. Maybe they're not good at communication and really being in front of a camera,
Mhm.
but they're really good behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
so allowing people to, again, give them those type of opportunities can work, right? Like, at midnight, I think is great when it comes to just bringing people together and sharing those ideas, and like, wow, I didn't realize, you had this on your plate. And like, admin night would not work with me and my spouse, right? Like that that's one place where it would just fail drastically, sometimes. But on the flip side of that, when we say, "Hey, well, yeah, you're like-minded people," and moving
Mhm.
forward, then it works great, right? Because you just need to
Yeah.
get these people on board, and so, there's great for it. I haven't seen guys do that yet, like at midnight, but that's a great
Yeah.
idea. Like, I don't know why more guys don't do it, but I think there's, opportunities there to, they call it more masterminds or networking sessions,
Mhm.
and but yeah, I mean, to actually make it productive, like I'm all for that. I hope it, takes off as a trend, and,
Mhm.
people talk about this, whether it's, building each other up. We need more of
Mhm.
these community support groups, get people away from technology a little while and get them into the creativeness of being together and just flourishing together. I think it's great. Like, again, mental health wise, like what impact is that when you have people that are there to support you, that are
It
saying,
changes
yeah,
everything.
yeah, hey, we don't have to just drink. We could do our work, right? We could get
And
things
drink.
done. Yeah,
We can have a good time and get work done. And that's like the concept that we need to change about work in general, is that it doesn't have to feel so daunting and like this is going to be so much, work. It actually can be a really good time. But we're going to pop off of that and go to our next topic, which is kind of a silly one. So recently a child got sent to the office for telling the school that his uncle was Superman. So he told his classmates that his uncle was Superman, which is really sad when you think about it, because he went to, um, the principal's office for essentially lying, because 'cause they're like, "Your uncle's not Superman," and that's so sad because, like, kids are allowed to have information. If he wants to think that his uncle is Superman, like, let him. Imagination is so important. I mean, people like imagination when you're 5 and 6, but imagination is still important when you're 9, 10, 11. Like, it's still a part of your, like, your mental development. But the best part is the next day, Henry Cavill dropped him off at school.
love
So
it.
the entire time he was telling people accused him of lying, this child, because he said, "My uncle is Superman." And the entire time he was telling us the truth because his uncle is Henry Cavill, who plays Superman. And it's that concept that, our almost immediate gut reaction is just to assume that this super, what it could never happen thing is the thing that we go for instead of believing in impossible. That's such a mind limiting thing, right?
Definitely can be.
Imagine, yeah, like there are a lot of one of my cousins is a reality TV star now, you know what I mean? And people be like, "Oh, there's no way." And there's like, but the impossible, or what society views as impossible, is actually pretty true. And it's sad that no one even asked this kid more questions.
So that's the thing. Like, who are these teachers? First of all, like,
Yeah.
hold on. Who are these teachers that are putting people down? Like, that's the first
That's
thing that we need to
so
take a look at.
weird.
And the first story that kind of came to my mind was about Steve Harvey. He
Mhm.
talks about that story as well when he was younger, and they had this assignment where the teacher was like, "Hey, everyone kind of write down what you're gonna be when you grow up." And Steve Harvey wrote down, "I'm gonna be on TV."
Mhm.
And the teacher was like, "Well, let's talk reality
Let's be
here.
realistic. Yeah.
Let's be realistic." And then, the funny part is, he goes, "Now I send that same teacher a brand new TV every year so she could
So
watch
she can
me." Right? And he goes, "I'm on TV every single day, right? Every single
every
day."
2 times a day, 3 times a day. Like,
So, yeah, so who is this teacher, first of all, to try to put somebody down, right? And this is what I talked about. We need to, like, get awake here, wake up, like, we need to stand up and say, "Hey, yeah, imagination is great."
mhm,
Again, no one's telling Elon Musk that he's nuts for saying that we're gonna go to Mars. It's like, yeah, well, hey, man, this guy just created Tesla. Like, he's a multi-billionaire. Yeah, definitely it's possible. Well, if you think it,
mhm.
yeah, now it could potentially be possible. He's already making it halfway there.
But it's the idea that, like, you have to prove you're successful before you're successful, which is crazy. There, I mean, that's following people on social media. For instance, the idea is that people will like your content if they think that you've already made it, but they won't like your content if you're in the process of making it, which is insane because watching someone in the process of making it is the thing that motivates you more than like watching someone create their videos or just do a video on TikTok motivates me to make a video. And it's not the big creators. They're the little creators, the little authors who are posting every single day that welcome to my life, welcome to my life. That motivates me. And yeah, who are these teachers? Because I've ran into a couple of teachers like that. And there's a story. I had a fifth grade teacher. I won't mention her name. I do not like her though. I don't care if she knows. It's her fault. She tried. No, she legitimately. I've been in advanced classes almost my entire life. But I've also had a very tumultuous life. And if you're paying attention, you know that so when kids have tumultuous lives, it plays out in their schoolwork and their school. Anyways, it was a consensus year. And we were doing like a mock consensus. So she was going through some of the questions that they ask on the consensus so that we could learn about it and understand it more. And so she goes around and she asks us these questions and we're raising her hand so we can see the like physical representation of the consensus. And so she asks, how many people speak more than one language in their household? And I raised my hand. And she looked at me like there's no way because I present straight black. Now I'm a mutt. I'm mixed with a lot of different shit. And my mom is born and raised in St. Thomas, which is right across from Puerto Rico. I'm I'm also part Santo Domingan, part Puerto Rican, a lot of things, right? You don't know that. I raised my hand and she kind of gets an attitude and I was talkative, so she probably had an attitude because I'm just talkative in general. And she goes, "You don't speak multiple languages in your household." And I'm like, I mean, we don't speak it super fluently. That wasn't the question. Though. The question was, do you speak more than one language in your household? And I was like, yeah. She's like, what language do you speak? And I was like, Spanish. She's like, no, you don't. I was like, she's like, tell me words. And I was like, yeah, my mom yells at me all the time. And me ven acá aquí, bastante. Like, there's a lot of things. And she just was like, I don't believe you. I'm not marking you down for it. And it was just the weirdest experience because just like this kid, I'm literally telling you what is existing in my real life right now. And you are making a judgment based on your limited knowledge of me about what I am or am not capable of.
And that's horrible. I mean, why are people so quick to judge? Isn't it something that we all have to be learning? And it's situations like this, right, where the teacher probably did feel embarrassed after, and especially if you say a couple of the Spanish words, and the whole class is looking at her like, "What the heck is going on here?" Hold on, she knows two languages, and hold on, like, what are you saying? Like, the credibility of the teacher probably just goes to zero. Like, if she didn't realize that, or if that teacher didn't realize, like, your credibility just going down the drain. Why are you so quick to pass judgment? And aren't you here to encourage rather than discourage? Like, hold on, what is teaching? What is a teacher?
Right.
Yeah.
And I going back to our original conversation before we got into all the pop culture stuff, and we're talking about how a lot of it needs to be on teachers. The problem is that, and that'll actually tie us into our no. There was one that I
Well,
did
can I just
have.
say something really quick about Superman there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was analyzing this. I'm like, okay, he brought Superman to class with him, but the kid's seven
The
years
next
old.
day.
Yeah, and so was it Superman? Because he didn't come in his outfit, or was it Clark Kent? So like, if I was 7 years old, okay, I'm just thinking about this. If I'm 7 years old, I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, all right. He says it's his uncle. Sure, looks like an uncle. He's not wearing a Superman outfit, so I'm probably questioning the whole thing. Like, okay, but it was 12 years ago. It was 12 years ago because I saw a clip that was like super old, and then
Yeah, like,
now
it's not the same Superman anymore.
maybe, it's like, Superman movie was out back then, there was a lot of commercials and everyone picked up on it right away, and he has that chisel look, like a Superman. But, on
Mhm.
the one side, I'm like, yeah, I still love to see the outfit, and, it'd be kinda cool if we just kinda hovered off,
It
and
You're right. If he would've, because because Henry Cavill dropped him off the next day to, like, prove it. If he would've came in, not even in full, like, Superman costume, but, like, the T-shirt with the
Exactly,
insignia on,
exactly.
that would've been so cool, and then I'm super dramatic, so if it were me, I would have to be Catwoman because I love Catwoman to the death to the end of this earth. I'd come in with, like, ears, right? Long nails, skin tight clothes, and then I would have the, like, theme song in the background while I'm walking in. So you're getting a visual and auditory message of who I am.
And this they're
Yeah,
7-year-olds. They're 7-year-olds. You gotta make it entertainment, you gotta make it entertaining for them. It's fun, right? It's you gotta be take that humility in, and walk in with your tights or whatever it is, and
yeah,
say, "Yes, I'm gonna entertain these kids." And the teacher's obviously gonna pick it up, you know that, she's an adult anyways, right? But at the same time, it's like, "Okay, well, hey, make it fun, right? Make it fun." You don't have to there's ways to kinda entertain these kids, and, I bet half these 7-year-olds are looking around saying, "Where's Lois Lane?" Where's
yeah, like, what's
the other superheroes maybe, right?
yeah,
Captain
yeah,
America
what,
might
like,
be next. Yeah.
where's Supergirl? What's going on? Can we have a whole convention?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just think that when you're a kid, that's when you start to believe that you can believe.
Mhm.
And if you try to put that out early on, you create chaos. I'm gonna drop a quick thing real quick and then we're gonna go to the next topic. There's I cannot remember what country it is now, but a country created a fund to fund artists. Like, I think it started off as, like, physical art, painters, sculptors, and things like that. They paid them a wage to paint and to sculpt and to mold, and they decided to keep it a thing because 2 years into that program, they saw that more art was created, people were happier. It actually ended up paying the fund back and making it money. And so, like, we're telling people not to believe and not to create, and the reality is that art is always gonna be a part of this world, whether we believe that Steve Harvey can be on TV. He had his own show before Family Feud, he had the Steve Harvey show. Like, to be clear, this man was on your screen, and he's still Steve Harvey show still has reruns that run all the time. This man's
Every
gonna
day,
be
every
in
day.
every day, and, like, that teacher who's like, "You're never gonna make it," like, we need to tell kids more that they are. I mean,
Mhm.
the truth is that you believe that someone's not gonna make it because you didn't, and you haven't learned the lesson from not making it. Not making it doesn't mean that you weren't gonna maybe it meant that you just weren't gonna be as big as you wanted, and that's okay. Maybe it meant that this was something that you should be doing and following as a hobby and that you can find something else to, I loved making film. I went to school for film production. And then I realized that I didn't want to be a part of the film world, but I use those skills now to edit my podcast and edit videos and create content. And there's that concept that just because I didn't make it to become the biggest filmmaker in the world doesn't mean that I'm still not doing it, even if it's
And
on a
and
small scale.
and you might, who knows? Like, you got time, like, you might,
There's so much
that
time. I could
you you
wake up tomorrow and be like, "You know what? I'm gonna make a film real quick." And you can
like,
do
you
it.
you have no idea who's watching this and who may take
Yeah.
you up on that idea and just make it happen. And, that's the thing, so 7 years old, yeah, very sensitive, right? Very sensitive age for the younger generation, uh,
Mhm.
and our youth, like, we wanna train get these kids to know that people believe in you, that people see you, that
Mhm.
people know that you're capable of doing so much amazing things. And that's the thing, like, there's great teachers out there too. I've had teachers that were, like, super loving, super encouraging. I wish, those teachers would stay with you for grade after grade.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, we get a mix of everything in life and reality. But I mean, yeah, that encouragement is what really takes us far. And, like even myself, like, I grew up extremely poor, right? We
Mhm.
grew up on government assistance.
Mhm.
It was three brothers, single mom
Mhm.
household, right? So single parent household that I grew up in. I had no idea what my future was going to look like. I was just so worried about survival and what people were thinking about me when I was in school that, if someone gave me just a little bit of love or encouragement, like, man, I was ready to go.
It's changed everything.
Yeah, life changing, right? So, luckily, did have good people in my life, right? Did have loving people in my life that did help me, steer in
Mhm.
that direction because I've easily could have gone the other way, and I remember even being younger, like I used to play sports and I used to have, I didn't realize it at the time, but I used to have like drug dealers watching me play sports and they were like the nicest, kindest people.
Yeah.
I didn't realize who they really were. Right? And it wasn't until years later that I see him on the news. Now I'm like, oh, this guy came to watch me, or oh, hey, this guy just passed away. That guy just passed away. That guy just passed away. And you didn't even realize that they could have just easily pulled me the other way. Luckily, I had a strict mom at the time that would
Mhm.
just would discipline me all the time and just say, you got you have to stay in in sight, right? You have to stay nearby.
Yep.
You have curfews. You have discipline, right? That's coming down on you all the time. But luckily, if I didn't have that, who knows, right? Like these guys come across as being like the nicest people. And who do we rather have in that situation? Like our teachers, our educators, and people want to
Mhm.
steer us the right direction, or do we want to give up that space to these other people, right?
Yeah.
That could possibly take us down, really bad rabbit holes.
Yeah. I agree. Like, if when you're in that position, use that position because you don't want someone else to capitalize that and push down youth into a different way. Um, our last topic today is that something that's interesting ties into what we are talking about, kind of social media and the social media views of everything. But it says only about 1 in 10 Americans under 35 earn six figures. And so, for people who don't know, because six figures was like not a concept to me, that's just $100,000, right? And $100,000 in this economy does not mean the same as $100,000 used to mean in this economy. But social media wants you to think it is more. And that's the concept of, we think that we can't reach these goals because, oh, there's so many people who already have it. And look at me, I'm just holy little me. And I'm, not ever going to reach it. And you don't even realize that first of all, most social media content creators' lives have turned out to be fake. Like some of the biggest it it's there was when TikTok was about to get shut down and it got shut down for that one day. That one day was really stressful for me because TikTok is how I like dissociate for a second. Like I just need like 5-10 minutes sometimes to just like decompress. Like it really actually helps me decompress. But people right before were confessing all of these things about how they tricked everybody into believing that this was the life that they lived. And in reality, they weren't really doing it. And people believe these social media images and think that, everybody else has already reached my goal or reached their goal in life. And here I am, and I'm never going to make it. And that's such a defeating thought. And I think that social media is beautiful. I know a lot of people don't. I think that it is. I think that the ability to share creativity with the world in a platform that isn't controlled by mass conglomerates, but one of the other problems is that we it's like confirmation bias, right? We search out the things to confirm what we already believe. So we're always going to follow people who have all of this money and things, even if they really don't, even if behind the scenes they're going through bankruptcy and they're just not telling you. And we'll be like, oh, everybody in the world has this and I'm never going to have it. Instead of really looking at their side and being like, oh, they built this, so I can build this, you know?
So there's two sides of this as well. One is I'm going to encourage everybody that's listening here,
Mhm,
make sure you're gonna earn six figures. Okay. So
mhm,
I'm gonna tell people like you're gonna earn it. Just keep working. And if you have that as a mindset, you will get there eventually. We don't know when it's gonna be
mhm,
typically, but if you keep doing the right steps, you're gonna get there. Right. And if
mhm,
you again just figure it out, if you keep opening up your mind And if that's your intention, you will get there 100%, right? The second thing about that is, yeah, there's a lot of fake people out there, right? So be careful of who you're looking at, be careful of who you're following. And I'll give you an example. There was a South Asian radio station host recently in just near Vancouver,
Mhm.
and so this person used to be on my social media feed, and she would be hanging out with a lot of the South Asian singers, and so I
Mhm.
would be like, oh wow, she seems to have a pretty good life, and her family was on social media, her kids were on social media. She was traveling to different parts, so she was hanging out with different friends and attending different events, hosting different events. And life just seemed like, oh wow, she's doing pretty good. She's active in the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I saw this news come out where, one of they're like, yeah, one of the radio hosts near in Vancouver got busted for smuggling drugs from the US to Canada. 108 kilograms of drugs. And this like massive duffel bags that she had in her vehicle. So she rented a car from the States, Florida plates, and was coming back across the border. And then the border goes, okay, hey, pull over. And she decides to book it after, and try to outchase the police. And luckily there was
Mm.
traffic and she got caught just, a little bit down the street. And then it's like, and then, the first thing that I noticed, and this happened like recently with three people that were on my social media feeds. The first
Mhm.
thing that happens is their social media feeds completely disappear.
Mhm.
People are getting outed. And if you've noticed that you used to follow somebody, they're not there anymore. They probably got outed for not being truthful, right? So eventually reality will catch up to you. The truth will come out. And that's it. Like, and then you just scratch your head. And I've seen this with spiritual leaders.
Mhm.
Spiritual leaders
Yes.
also get ousted. And it doesn't take away from the good that these people are doing. But again, it's like, what type of role model do we want to be for people? And how
Mhm.
truthful do we want to be about, how are we able to do the things that we're able to do with a clean conscience? And in a way where we can face ourselves in the mirror tomorrow, right? Like, this is how I think we need to be for each other and pull each other up in a way
Mhm.
where it's genuine, it's honest, real talk, like, what we're doing here. But
Yeah.
again, um, I'll do the little plug to logisticsales.com is, hey, we don't BS people. We're
Mhm.
not gonna tell you that you're gonna make it instantly. We're like, "Hey, there's skills you're gonna have to learn, and you're gonna have to apply those skills to get to where you wanna get to." Like, there's a formula, but if you follow the formula and you follow a roadmap from where it's done correctly and
Mhm.
not, the get rich quick scheme or not Andrew Tate where you're gonna take advantage of everybody just to kinda, uh,
Oh, I hate that man.
but again, it's how do you do it genuinely, right? How do you do it authentically and
Mhm.
transparent and in a way where we always teach it to be in service. We truly say that when
Mhm.
you're truly being in service and we're getting out of ourselves and we're truly trying to help people and help people with solutions, then things work out,
Mhm.
or at least we're picking up skills to do the next thing. Everything in life, like how you talked about as well, Blake, everything in your life is
Mhm.
compounded. The skills that you've learned, you're applying them in different ways and you're trying
Mhm.
different ways to earn those that vision that you're seeing for yourself. It starts with that vision. Anyone that has that vision will be
Mhm.
able to get to that vision. I guarantee it, right? It just you can't stop. That's the main thing.
Mhm.
When you stop, you're guaranteed you're not gonna get there. But when you keep
You know,
going when you keep going, you're eventually gonna have something come out of it. Like, there's no way that, like, the universe loves us too much, that's the main thing. Like, the universe loves us, and the universe is like our parents, right? When the parents are loving and they encourage you, that's
mhm.
exactly what the universe wants for all of us, is just to learn, grow, pick up the skills that we need to do and apply it, right? Without and we gotta, and the whole matrix is taking off all the negative programming. But the stuff where
That's the
people
hard
tell us,
part.
yeah, the part where people tell us that you can't do it, and the
Mhm.
part that says, our voices inside our own heads that say, "That looks too difficult. I don't think that's for me. That's for somebody else."
I think there's, like, an aspect of it, and this, just in general, social media too, but there's an aspect of it of, like, completion without showing the work that's really truly behind these things, you know? People want to reach that, and this is something I've had to learn through severe struggle, right? Is that people want to be at the goal and they really don't want to do the work or the sacrifice that takes to get them, right? So I'm filing for bankruptcy right now. That's my bad. But am I learning from filing for bankruptcy? Absolutely, I am. And then and in that process, am I learning a lot of things? So right now I'm living with my dad and my mom separately. That sucks sometimes, right? I want to note that I am blessed that I have a place to fall back onto. Like I'm truly honestly blessed for that. Um, but a conversation that I had with my dad recently is I want to get a place, but the thing I want to do first is build. I want to build while I have the extra capital that I have right now. I want to spend it building my business and building my brands. And maybe that was why everything that happened to me happened, was so that I could be in a place where I could build this place. So I could pay the $300 I pay for my designated desk at a co-working space that I can go to, and, I can network and I can meet new people and really hone in and focus on my things. A lot of people don't want to do the work. A lot of people don't want to do the sacrifice. And the sacrifice isn't what people see on social media a lot. What does it look like when you put your goals first? When you put yourself first? When you follow this thing? It doesn't mean that like you immediately skyrocket up. It does mean that you're going to have to make sacrifices. Though, like, I'm working at a brewery again. I wanted to never bartend again, but I'm doing it because it provides me the freedom while still giving me enough money financially to be able to do this part, right? And I know that if the commitment we're talking about, I know that if I stay committed on this goal and if I keep going, this year I'm doing more book events. I'm hosting indie author events because I do indie author advocacy. I'm doing book giveaways. I'm reaching out and doing more podcasts, not just my podcast, but other people's podcasts as well. I know that that's going to lead to something in the end. Now, my fear gets in my head sometimes, right? That's normal. Your fear is going to get in your head, and sometimes you're going to get frustrated and say, "Well, I'm not going to make it now. I'm so frustrated. I'm tired." Have your day and then get back on the grind the next, feel your feelings, but get back on the grind, because as we were talking in the beginning of this episode, I now have people reaching out to me for their clients to be on my podcast. And like that's crazy to me. I have content creators who have 100, 300K followers, more, reaching out to me to be on my podcast. And that's because I've made a commitment to myself. I've kept it up. I kept up my social media. I'm posting all the time. I'm in people's faces. I'm posting clips of my podcast. I'm doing all of the things, but people don't see that part. And on my social media, you'll see me being like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired, but I got to go through this 3 podcast. Like I'm recording a day in my life vlog while parts of us recording this. And my intro was like, I got 3 podcasts to do today. I'm exhausted, but watch me get it done. Um, a lot of people don't see that. And, I don't know what your formula is, but I think that that's part of just the formula of getting better. You also have to realize to reach a new goal, you have to sacrifice. If you think about like the ancient times when they used to like sacrifice things and goods or whatever, that was most meant to be, that has some meaning if you think of it more philosophically, right? If you think of it more as like a parable, as a story to tell you that to reach the new height of what you want in your life, you have to give something up. That's just the way that it goes.
I can break that down for you if you want.
Yeah.
But so sometimes we call it like the law of the lid, right? Or we're in a box, right? Our box is basically the point in life where we're at, and if we want to get past that point, it's like breaking through glass, right? So if you're trying to get past this point and you're always stuck here, right? So maybe that's that 6-figure mark, right? And you're trying to get past that, you can't break through it. You're like, and I've seen it a couple times, but I just can't get there. So in order
Hmm.
for you to get there, you're gonna have to grow as an individual and create a new box, and then you're gonna have to break through this, and you're gonna get cut,
Hmm.
right? So anytime you break through glass, you're gonna get cut, and that's the sacrifice that you're talking about. Is that you can't be scared, right? Because again, when we're in the gym, if you want to build the biceps, right,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to cut that bicep up. You're gonna
You're going to
cut
have
your
to,
muscles up, yeah,
yeah, create
and
pain. You break down your muscles to rebuild them.
but it's a great pain that you can go through, right? Like,
I
again,
love it.
it's psychological. It's whether we wanna think of it as it being negative
Mhm.
or positive for us, right? And if we understand that there's positive pain and that, hey, yeah, I'll take positive pain any day, right? I'll be like, yeah, hey, 3 podcasts, let's go. Right? Like we gotta do this from morning till midnight. Let's go. We gotta do it 24 hours. Let's go. Right. And so it's a matter of just saying, do I have that inside of me? I love it because it pushes us. Like, why do we do marathons? Why do we work
Mhm.
out the way that we do? Why do we, if we're trying to eat healthy, we're doing all these things to kind of sacrifice ourselves to gain a greater outcome.
And, like, there's
And
this so I used to be, like, a personal trainer, and I built a lot of the body that I have now, and I'm still working because then you let things go, and you gotta kinda come back on track, but there's also the concept that once you get there, you don't have to like, honestly, once you get there, you don't always have to put in as much work as you did to get there, because then what you're doing is, like, maintenance work, like, to use your metaphor about, like, working out, right? Once you build your biceps, if you wanna stay where you are, the work that you do changes. The load of what you do in the gym changes. It's maintenance now. And so, like, yeah, I'm gonna kill myself, not like that, but, like, I'm
it's
gonna work so
temporary. Yeah.
hard that it's temporary. And, breaks are important. I want that to be clear. People don't, like, just work yourself to the ground. Rest is important. You'll be so surprised. Yesterday, I'm just kind of resting, and something I posted during, like, my rest period got, like, 300 something likes, so many views, and just posting, like, my new author photo that I did myself, um, and someone was like, "I love your photo so" this is on my rest day. Someone's just like, "I like your photo so much, I'm gonna buy your book." So rest days still get you somewhere, right? But
100%.
the same concept is like, did it suck to have to like, I like to leave my house at 2. Did it suck to have to leave a lot earlier than that? Absolutely. But I'm about to have 2, 3 podcasts in the bank, and that's gonna make me feel better than the sleep that I was gonna get, and then when I go home, I know that I can then rest. I can then spend some time resting and doing the things that I want to, and I'm done podcasting for the rest of the week,
Yeah.
essentially, you know?
Yeah. And you said a key word there, feel better. I'm gonna feel
Mhm,
better from doing this. I'm gonna feel better, right? We may not at the time when we're about to do it, but every time we do it, we feel better, right? For man, thank God, like I was able to do that. Thank God I was able to get out of my head to go do this because now I feel better. Because if I would have just
mhm,
stayed home and did nothing and just relaxed, I probably wouldn't feel so great. Not all the
and, like,
time, right?
not
Sometimes,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the rest, sometimes you need the break, but, like but you have to there's, to me, there's always, like, a mind, body, soul connection that you have to understand when you really need the break and when your body is just kind of being a little sluggish, right? I've taken a break off of working out last week because I came from doing like dropped something on my toe and I could barely walk for a couple of days and I worked an entire shift like that. And then right after that, I got sick and I'm like, okay, my body is telling me, like I'm listening. My body is telling me that it needs to rest. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, I've rested now. Let's get, don't sink into this. I'm going to stay rested. I have to change my mindset and be like, all right, my body's saying, even though it's tired, we're capable of doing this now. So let's get back into it. And then when, this is why I was like, I'm gonna work really hard today. I'm gonna work really hard on Saturday. So then Thursday I can be like, I can relax, I can chill, I can do the things that make me happy, I can do my hobbies. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to like work really hard on certain days so that you can have the breaks that you need and want on other days.
Yeah. And Blake, I just want to say, I think you're successful for being authentic and being transparent. And I believe that's why you're attracting people to come wanting
Mhm.
to be on your podcast. And again, like I said, there's something about you that's going to flow people in your direction. What you choose to do with that is now going to be your choice to say, hey,
Mhm.
am I going to pick up on the signals
Mhm.
and say, okay, hey, you know what? Maybe I might want to start building a team out. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
It does.
And then teamwork can also accelerate results as well. The
Mhm.
other thing too is, again, when I talked about growing up on social assistance or government
Mhm.
assistance, I've been at zero lots of times. Even being an entrepreneur, I've had like 2 times I've had my life savings stolen from me from various people that I've partnered up with. And so even after, like still, recently I just had a situation where somebody scammed me again for a good,
Mhm.
like $200,000 worth of worth of money. And so it it happens, right? But it's knowing that every time we let go, and this is one lesson that I've learned, and I wanna kinda share this with you, I wanna share it with the audience, is every time
Mhm.
I let go of those feelings of being, brought down or being scammed or being hurt, whatever it may be, anytime that that's happened and I've, like, had to physically let go of it, there's an energy release that happens in the body, and every time I let go of that, then the next thing is waiting for us. And usually
Yep.
whatever we lose, whether that's a relationship, whether that's financial, anything like that, when we let go of it and we're willing to move forward and learn from it, it comes back
Mhm.
in multiples too.
Yep.
So that's something that I know is definitely gonna come back in your life. It's coming back in multiples, right? And I
Mhm.
believe that for anybody else too. We just, again, have to have the courage to go forward. And the other part too is, like, don't get hung up on a six-figure number.
Mhm.
Anyone that's watching, don't get hung up on money, right? Because if you're like, what does that really mean? It's only a number,
Mhm.
right? So again, it's people in the world can live on a lot less than a six-figure salary and still be extremely happy in life. So again,
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be there, right? I had a friend that, again, he was doing all the right things and he was hustling and bustling in business. All of a sudden he married someone, and then, he in 1 year he went from like having one house to having four houses. And it's just
Mhm.
like, again, it was just, you just never know whose energy you're gonna tie into. Like, it's gonna happen in the most unpredictable ways. We will not be able to predict how our future is gonna go, because there's a certain creator that understands you, and he's gonna show you, "Hey, I'm in your life for a reason,"
Mhm.
right? And the way that I'm gonna make it happen, you're not even gonna be able to think about it because we're not smart enough.
It's so funny, and we're getting ready to get to our hard stop, but it's so funny because recently I was talking to my therapist, and he was like, "Okay, so I want you to, like, think about SMART goals." And I was like, "Oh, no, I hate SMART goals." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, SMART goals, one of the things that I've been working on is, like, radical surrender, right? Like, I can have in my mind an idea of what it's gonna look like, but that even can be limiting because who knows what the universe or whatever you believe in has in plan for you. Stop limiting yourself to what you can physically imagine because there's more out there than you can even imagine at the time. But I said, like, SMART goals feel like I'm trying to enact control on something that doesn't always have control. Like, I'm trying to say, I can make this much money and I'm gonna do it in 6 months, and here are the steps. And in reality, my goals look one, they don't tie into finance anymore at all. I've let it go. I what they tie into is like, I wanna have a loft in Royal Oak, right? I'm not gonna say when I'm gonna get this. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna be making steps to get this. I'm just saying my goal is to have a loft in Royal Oak. I don't know what kind of loft it's gonna be. I don't know how much it's gonna cost. I just know that that's one of my goals, and however I could have a giant, huge, super expensive loft in Royal Oak, and because I'm not limiting myself now to it has to be this exact loft, right? I wanna have property other places. I want one of my business goals right now is to graduate from a designated desk to an office in the co-working space. I'm not putting a time limit on that because I could say, "Oh, I want this to happen in a year." And now I'm, like, limiting myself because 'cause I'm only doing these little tiny increments of steps. If I don't put a time frame, like a giant time frame on it, it could happen in 2 months. It could happen in 3 months. I don't know. And letting go of that need to know what's gonna come next.
So I think it's like letting go of the expectation. Right?
Mhm.
But you do keep setting the intention, right? And Steve Harvey talks
Yes.
about this too, and he
Yes.
goes, "You have not because you've asked not."
Yeah, you have to have it you have to have the intention, but you
And
let go of the
yeah,
expectations.
and let that happen when it's gonna happen. But again, this
Mhm.
Les Brown talks about this as well, where he goes, "Hey, shoot for the moon. So even if you end up in the stars, you're still doing
I
pretty good,
love that
right?"
quote. I love that quote.
Yeah, so again, all these guys are telling us the same thing. Just let go of the expectation. It doesn't matter if if you get to the moon or not, but it's pretty nice to land amongst the stars, right? Like, that's a nice feeling. And that's what we want to carry with us. It's not, again, have the steps. Try it. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. At least you tried, right? And then it's about
And
trying the
then
next thing
something will come else.
and be willing to pivot. And that's what, when we talk about something else may come up, is just be willing
Mhm.
to pivot. Don't get so stuck on that one thing, Because like I said, you may be doing a podcast today, but you might be making a movie tomorrow.
You
We
know,
don't know.
I've pivoted from one of my business brands and I'm like, okay, that's going to be a hobby brand right now because what I was doing was creating the candles and teas myself. And maybe that's limiting. Maybe I need to build this so then I can have the capital that I don't make the candles and the teas anymore, that I subset that out. Someone else does it for me and then I just sell it. And then maybe that's like the limiting thing. I have to make them myself when it's like, no, I could get the capital. Someone else can do it. And then maybe that's better for the life that I want to live anyways. Pivoting is so important. Okay. Before we go, I just want to make sure that people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can, take the courses and everything like that.
Sure. Website is logisticsales.com. All our social handles are on the bottom of the page: LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and I think there's something else over there. But YouTube, yeah, YouTube is the main one. So YouTube, we also have worksheets, links to our worksheets. So it's almost like
Hmm.
it's like school, right? So it's not as fun and exciting, but we do try to again edit the videos and try to make it interactive for you. So please, follow the course. We release one new episode every week, and do the worksheet below it. It's going to force you to look inside yourself, and yeah, help you hit those six figures easy, probably seven figures, right? Probably more than that. So
Probably more.
um,
Yeah.
probably more. Just keep going, right? So that's the thing is, and we're going to teach you in a practical way. We're going to be there to love and encourage you along the way. And if you have
Hmm.
questions or anything, leave them in the comments, and we definitely will do our best to get back to you and even help you along that journey if you're stuck somewhere at no cost, right? So again, we just want people to feel good about what they're doing, keep moving forward, and our hope
Hmm.
is that if we teach you, you're going to teach somebody else and pull everybody up together. So build that community and have success together. Do that whole admin night and make you fun. Watch an episode of Logistics Sales and have a glass of wine, right? So enjoy your
Yeah,
day.
and enjoy it. Well, Damon, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I love sitting and talking to you about, working on ways of finding financial freedom and just everything. You are always welcome back. But until next time, guys, we are going to say goodbye and I will see you next time. Bye.
Right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Gabby Gabs Podcast.